But I believe procurement will be the new instrument in 2030 to change the world. And I wanted to tell them that.
What inspires me about my job is the fact that I can really bring a change, bring an impact to the company by increasing the company profitability, for example, providing innovative ideas, way of dealing with some issues.
It's going to be critical that we're able to jump and be ready to seize the next opportunity that we're presented with.
Where you going away to?
At Avetta, we don't simply connect clients and contractors. We build trustworthy bonds that serve as the foundation for sustainable business growth. For we believe trust is a catalyst. Trust builds confidence and peace of mind. Trust empowers you to move forward, knowing the job will be done, and done well. In industries where a single oversight can be $1 billion mistake, there is absolutely no room for error. Avetta's rigorous evaluation process eliminates all doubt. Our experience streamlines the process. Our networks foster opportunity. At Avetta, we are in the business of making yours better, safer, stronger. We are an innovative, globally trusted resource dedicated to creating sustainable futures. We are building the connections that build the world.
Welcome to Procurious TV, your go-to source for the latest and greatest from the procurement and supply chain worlds. There's so much going on in the world right now that you'd be easily forgiven for not being across everything. So that's why we've created Procurious TV, your monthly news digest that will review our recent work and present it all to you in one bite-sized episode. Each month, we'll deep dive into one important issue and share some of the inspiring stories that not only get you up to scratch with the latest news, but remind you why you're doing what you're doing. In this episode, we're focusing on sustainability. As author Robert Swan once perfectly wrote, the greatest threat to our planet is the belief that someone else will save it. In fact, a report we produced in conjunction with iValuer found that only 39% of organisations were just beginning their supply chain sustainability programs, and 24% had not even started at all. So procurement can no longer stand by and watch the sustainability movement. We need to lead it. And regardless of where you are in your sustainability journey, let's kick off right now with something from the vault and hear what journalist and BBC reporter Lucy Siegle had to say when it comes to sustainable fashion.
My big idea is to do with the urge we feel when we're shopping for fast fashion, particularly for younger consumers. So they're buying items that seem cheap, but my big idea is actually very simple. It's some sort of stop mechanism which will engage the brain at that point when they've kind of lost it because they're so excited about buying this and they've got this rush of whatever it is, and it will stop them and it will get them to invest that money, even though it might be 20, 30 quid, into a fashion Kickstarter fund for a sustainable brand. So what they're actually doing is investing in the fashion economy rather than buying a disposable item of clothing that they don't need and they don't really want.
Sustainable fashion brands that Lucy's advocating digs deep at the social activism heart of Gen Z. This generation is not afraid to let their voices and wallets speak against brands that do not demonstrate corporate social responsibility. Cenk Oz, Britain's youngest CEO, explains why brands need to pay more attention to the growing and influential cohort of consumers.
Let's speak about social change. Look, activism forms a part of Generation Z's identity, and things like plastics, LGBTQ, rights, equality versus equity, and the BLM all have major impacts on a Generation Z's activism life. Surprisingly, actually 12% of under 18s said that activism was their priority over all other options, which is pretty shocking considering that the other options included family, love, and career. This compares with 8% in millennials and only 4% in baby boomers. And that number is only going to go one way. Consumer-driven sustainable activism are the buzzwords of the day. Generation Z let their wallets speak for them. Okay, examples of this can include buying of single-use plastics, non-dairy milks, fake meats, and slow fashion. I think the Generation Z are really going to target shampoo and bath soap bottles next, just because they are very inefficient in their use of plastics. The majority of Generation Z, 72%, think that they can be part of a movement through social media only. And this is a very new school way of thinking. The good news is that levels of digital activism have actually soared during the pandemic. Also, the digital communication methods used to spread the word in a rapid and collective way are incredibly unforgiving. I mean, it's probably a force to be reckoned with. And if you're a company or a government, you do not want to get on the wrong side of a Generation Z's cohort's opinion. Look, companies and governments underestimate Generation Z power and influence. And we are witnessing this across the geopolitical landscape at scale in so many countries, especially the US right now. Generation Z was the most engaged demographic in the hashtag Stop Hate for Profit campaign against Facebook last July. And for those of you who don't know, over 1,000 companies, including people like Starbucks and Coca-Cola, completely boycotted Facebook, causing massive advertising revenue losses. As a result of this, activism is now just one click away.
It's promising to hear from Cenk, the next generation of consumers driving sustainable activism and influencing brands. However, the biggest resistance to change in our procurement channels can often come from within our own organisations, as we all know. So Thomas Udesen, CPO at Bayer, addresses why it's vital to navigate this hurdle and offers up a solution with the Sustainability Procurement Pledge. Let's hear more.
Is that not every person in procurement has the benefit of working for a company that gets it. There is definitely a promising trend, but it's also very clear that things are moving way too slow. There's around 15,000 people, companies actually, who have signed up for the United Nations Global Compact Principles. But when we talk to their procurement staff in those very same corporations, more than 50% say that there is no way that the practices they are activating meet those expectations. We know that the market of global products and services in business to business is around 8.3 trillion. And we also estimate that there's around 1 million procurement professionals out there who is really managing that whole trade. And we then decided 18 months ago to launch the Sustainable Procurement Pledge, which is really a non-profit peer community. It's for procurement, by procurement, where the strategy is to make sure that we equip that 1 million procurement professionals for free, but with the right knowledge, make sure they have the tools, make sure that they are also empowered so that the leaders across the procurement world is also visibly showing that they are behind this and that they empower, they give the mandate to the organization to start using this 8.3 trillion spend that we control, this power that we have, that they actually start using the power for good. And what is it that the ambassadors are doing? First of all, it's based on the United Global Compact Principles. We are today 3,800 ambassadors from 142 countries. We have the most junior people, we have academics, we have the most senior people. So what we do experience is that there is a lot of passion for doing good, and there's a great degree of preparedness also for to help and for people to share their knowledge, again, for free. And the 5 principles beyond the UNGC is really that we stand up for people and our planet, and that we believe that we need to do this together. It's again the philosophy of collaborating, but we don't expect somebody else to solve our problem. We start with ourselves, and that we are prepared to share knowledge, but also listen to other opinions. There are many different opinions. The topics are large and complex, but again, progress can really only happen if we are prepared to also listen to a few other perspectives. And at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we leave the right legacy of procurement, and that the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals that we have all set up to do, are delivered as they have been planned for by 2030.
Why is the procurement process at work so different than online shopping at home? It shouldn't be. Empower your users with buyerquest. buyerquest takes the best of e-commerce and fuses it with the power of enterprise e-procurement to create a robust buying platform that fits your business. Are you tired of listening to your users complain about a disjointed, cumbersome buying experience? buyerquest connects all of your suppliers in one marketplace. Your users can buy all company-negotiated goods and services within a single, consumer-focused interface. buyerquest is easy to use, simple to navigate, flexible, and comes backed with a powerful search engine. Photos, product descriptions, and search filters create a familiar, intuitive shopping experience. buyerquest was built for mobile. Users can access buyerquest anywhere on any device. Approvals of requisitions or invoices can be done on the go, directly from email. buyerquest makes it easy for your suppliers too. The buyerquest network allows your suppliers to manage their catalog in tandem with your buyers. Suppliers can also view their purchase orders, submit invoices, and view payment information. From shopping to invoicing, including quotes and non-catalog requests, buyerquest delivers a seamless experience. buyerquest's revolutionary technology drives user adoption, leading to increased contract compliance and savings, both in time and money. buyerquest. We empower users.
Thomas refers to the $8.3 billion procurement spend that's in our control as a power we can leverage to influence sustainable outcomes. Henrik Smedberg of SAP Ariba and SAP Fieldglass agrees with this and claims that the merger of procurement and sustainability roles in many organisations is a real game changer. He even goes a step further to say that it's the most positive step forward in changing buyer behaviour across the board.
So let's talk about procurement and sustainability. A couple of years ago, you would not see many titles that had procurement and sustainability in them together. It's really, really promising to see that more businesses now name their CPOs instead of chief procurement officers, chief procurement and sustainability officers. That really changes the game. That means that we're talking about these topics together with procurement. And hey, here's the good news. Procurement, you still hold the cash. You can help organizations shift their behaviors from buying from non-sustainable suppliers to suppliers that put a greater focus on sustainability. But also, it's in the same area as social enterprises and of course, modern slavery and local sourcing. Let's talk about modern slavery for a second. Modern slavery started in the UK and with legislation here, and then moved to Australia. Recently, the first reports from Australia are coming together and being sent in. And it's really interesting to see that about 20% of the reports from organizations in Australia are from organizations that actually do not have a legal liability or to conform to the legislation or send something in. Now that is interesting, because that means that it really matters. It really matters for people and brands to be seen as doing the right thing and acting the way they talk. And I think that is very, very cool. Here in the UK, the government has in a recent report reported that over 10,000 cases of modern slavery was seen in the UK. Now that is about 40 million people that we think globally, unfortunately, are in situations of modern slavery. So there's still a lot of work to do, and I think we have a responsibility when we look at sustainability as a whole to do more and better together on that. So I want to sum this up with a few actions. Of course, number one, it's important to remember you can help drive the change. And if we connect our hearts and what feels good with our brains, that's good business, but you got to put some legs into it as well and get going. So I think what I will pledge is to continue thinking about how can I support, and I would challenge you to also think about how do you make sure that you help out in this world, making it better and helping us spend better as organizations as well as in our personal lives.
Finally, let's hear from Ezgi Barsanas, Global Vice President and Head of Sustainability at Anheuser-Busch InBev, a company that has merged their procurement and sustainability functions, as we just heard from Henrik. So Ezgi shares with us how they've been able to inform and influence their supply chain towards greater sustainable practices. Check it out here.
So, at AB InBev about 4 years ago now, we moved our sustainability function into our procurement organization. So I report into our chief procurement officer in the company. And by doing that, we were really able to work a lot more closely with our supply chain. And it's really given us an ability to inform and influence and engage our suppliers in much more strategic ways than we've done before. If I can quote another report earlier this month, CDP has issued their supply chain report, their annual supply chain report. And within that, it is stated that for the average company, supply chain emissions are around 5.5 times greater than direct emissions. So again, if you look at the impacts of climate change and where you can mitigate that, where you can prepare for your climate response and adaptation, if you also look at your climate emissions, carbon emissions, again, a lot of it really sits in the supply chain. There's huge opportunities for us to engage with our suppliers, not only by looking at it from a risk angle, but also really thinking of it as an upside as well, because this really gives us an ability to co-innovate into the future and really think about what does the future of packaging look like, what does the future of logistics look like, how can we think about new products for new consumer occasions and in new business models that is really coming out and shaping in a post-pandemic world.
There's no more time to waste. It's time for procurement to get more involved with sustainability and lead from the front. Otherwise, the opportunity for us to make meaningful change will pass us by. There's a lot of work to do, but by collaborating and sharing best practices, there's a possibility of a brighter future ahead. Thank you for joining us on Procurious TV. See you for the next episode.